His early life was as a stone cutter, where he became very proficient in repairing ancient churches and artifacts and related locations. But he eventually had a strong boxing career and came again within one victory of winning the world title. And yes, he almost won it because he was a highly regarded fighter, and at the time, world champion Muhammad Ali took him on in a very interesting fight, and Koopman was willing, but the final results went against him. Jean-Pierre Coopman, now a retired Belgian boxer, best known again for his title fight against Ali in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which Ali won by KO in the fifth round. Now born in Ingel, Munster, West Flanders, Belgium, his nickname was the Lion of Flanders. 5'11 and a half, 205 to 210 pounds, with a final record of 36 and 16 with 20 KOs. Born post World War II on 11th of July 46 in the Flemish, again, northern Belgium community. Early in his life, he showed a gift for artistry, great with his hands, which served him well in the boxing ring. He was instructed in sculpting by his stepfather, and Koopman's first fully paid job was as a stone cutter. The stone cutter he learned from childhood was more specifically that of an artisan. His skills were put to use, among other things, in reparations of the medieval churches of Belgium, most notably St. Nicholas Church in Ghent. By having to perform a kind of historic preservation, using and applying tools from this ancient period, he developed great strength in his arms and hands. In his young adulthood, he appears to have been a lover of nightlife, but after sparring several times with Gilbert Montagnier, a noted Belgian middleweight, he was urged to pursue a ring career, or at least to try. By his own words, once a decision was made, Koopman at least gave up smoking, a cold turkey at that. Though best known in fight circles as an opponent of Muhammad Ali, Koopman had been fighting for half a decade before being granted his title shot at the greatest. He began the amateur ranks, rising quickly enough to compete in the 71 European Championships, where he was knocked out by a far more experienced Soviet fighter who had 315 contests. He turned pro in 1972. Now, Koopman fought his early bouts primarily in Belgium, though he's recorded as having won an early match versus Harold Skog in Norway. Koopman lost via decision to Rudy Lubers of the Netherlands in 1973. Of course, that was another one of Ali's victims. Now, Koopman's early record shows a disqualification victory over Terry Daniels, would also received a title shot to his own career versus Smokin' Joe Frazier in January 72. Despite mixed fortunes, Koopman proved popular with his fellow countrymen, and by 75 was able to pursue boxing as a full-time career. The company which employed him to sculpt now paid him to fight instead. Now, Koopman was said to have been one of the least deserving boxers to fight for the heavyweight title, but I tend to disagree. Not say he was a club fighter, but every champion needs to fight somebody on the lower 10 of the rankings. Ali had previously had his third fight with Joe Frazier, the Trilla Manila, a match Ali later called the closest thing to death. Understandably, the champion wanted an easier opponent. The match was made almost by happenstance, as the promotion fell to Greg Kantner, a Belgian by birth. Kantner, after surveying the European scene, contacted Charles J. Jaeger, Koopman's manager, and thus the match was made. Koopman, unknown outside Belgium, was overwhelmed by the sudden fame. Ali was a hero to him, and he was grateful for a title shot. Now, dubbed the Lion of Flanders by the Western press, he had never called himself that. The name was thought to be related to Koopman's birthday, 11th of July, which was a national holiday in Flanders, marking a military victory over the French all the way back in 1302. Now, the fight took place in all locations. San Juan, Puerto Rico, on 20th February 76 at Roberto Clemente Coliseum. Now, I saw this fight. Ironically, the fight was not broadcast by Belgian media, as Koopman's native land was the first nation to ban boxing broadcasts. CBS Sports broadcast the bout to the States for free in prime time. The bout was easy for Ali, who knocked out Koopman in round 5. Now, not to say it was a practice event for Ali, but by the 5th round, Ali was kind of toying with him, and he did the wind up in regards to Koopman regarding his his style. Now, after Ali fight, he became a European champion after being a Basque, Jose Uritain. 2 months later in Antwerp, he lost the title to Lucien Rodriguez of France. He retired in 1980 as his last official fight was against Cookie Wallace. Now in 95 he fought Freddie D. Kerpel while acting in the film Camping Cosmo. As of 2007, Coopman was taking up another career, painting oil paintings of famous boxers. He was also awarded a contract to sculpt a statue of fellow Belgian fighter Cyril Denelois. Coopman was also the subject of Lying, a tongue-in-cheek tribute by songwriter Freddie Boyham. Now, some interesting fights here. Like I said, mostly in Belgium. But what stands out for me against the Rudy Lubbers fight? Fighting a lot of interesting contenders. But when he came out of the Ali fight, he was all over the place. He fought George Jerome, was a noted heavyweight at the time. I think Jerome was a heavy contender for the heavyweight championship of Canada for quite some time. Neville Meade, of course, Lucien Rodriguez fought him twice. Jose Manuel Yotan, who had a great record leading up to the 1970s. Scotty Walsh, another Canadian contender, won by disqualification in the first round. And of course, future Ali victim Alfredo Evangelista, where Evangelista basically later on fought Larry Holmes as well. And so he fought actually Lubbers in an unofficial rematch in 1980. So he lost, I think it was, 5 of his last 7 fights. But again, what he did as a boxer was quite interesting. And the George Jerome fight was in 1976. And it was the situation with European fighters. They would often take on Canadian contenders throughout the years, and George Jerome was one of that, and that drew a lot of interest in Canada, because obviously with George Chuvalo at the tail end of his career, especially like Jerome being from St. Boniface, Manitoba, it was quite a reference. Now, going into George Jerome's career again, he did fight Chuvalo in '78 and took on a lot of big contenders, including Ibar Warrington, Jose Ramon, Picklon Thomas, Chuck Miller, a whole bunch of different fights. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, everything is connected in boxing, and with Jean-Pierre Coopman, like I said, I read about him a lot in Ring Magazine, and I found him again to be a very, very interesting cat, because he would always be doing something that would bring respect to himself as an artist. A stonemason is an artist to his country. Belgium has always had great track and field in soccer athletes, but in boxing, like I said, Ali was on an international kick. He wasn't scared to take on international opponents. He took on Germans, Canadians, different stuff. Just because Ali won doesn't diminish the fighter that was losing to him. But I mean, Jean-Pierre Coopman, I said to myself, it's too bad he didn't. In the modern era, he would probably be handled better, because he was fighting a lot of bottom 20 contenders. At the best, he was a top 20 contender, and there's nothing matter being the top 20 in the world, and with the WBA and WC, the 2 belts at a time. Like I said, there was a lot of opportunity, and like I said, it's pretty part of the boxing of the 1970s. And take a look at the old fights. It's quite interesting, especially that 5-round fight of Ali was 50 minutes of just pure Ali, as we say, against almost like somebody that didn't know what to do. But like I said, Ali kind of, not say carried him, but didn't want to give at least the fans their money's worth for the fight. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing in our boxing podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.